Towards this end, I wrote a novel on the subject of our universal love for one another as human beings. I started to explore what a great renaissance would look like in the social domain and how it might develop at the grassroots level of our individual living. This became an amazing challenge, to which I later applied the title Discovering Love. However, the subject turned out to be so vast that the writing of more than just a single novel became necessary to explore it. This became apparent during the writing of the work. The principle of universal love came to light as vastly encompassing. From this beginning, a series of 12 novels was created, carrying a single theme and a single story, though multifold in discoveries. The second novel of the series, The Ice Age Challenge, brings the challenge of the returning Ice Age somewhat to the foreground. The novel is built around it, but not in the typical cataclysmic fashion. It deals more with the task of stepping away from the systems of empire in steps of securing our future. Neither of these aspects has been mastered well in society to the present day, nor have they even been acknowledged as challenges. Against this background, the size of this particular novel became rather large. It took still another novel to explore the complexities further, such as that of meeting the very simplest challenge of universal love on the home ground at the grassroots level. The civilization that we have created on our planet, as tragic and precarious it is, has become interlaced with wars, slavery, destruction and deprivation, which have set a stage on which we stand poised to destroy ourselves. But this was not imposed on us by forces from outside of our planet. We have created the mess we are in, and we find ourselves forced by the tragedy of the consequences to pull ourselves up to higher ground, no matter how difficult that may seem. The novel Roses at Dawn in an Ice Age World deals with these difficult complexities. My next novel in line, Winning Without Victory, explores this higher challenge on a wider plane. The challenge here is building a taller platform for oneself that doesn't end, but solves the challenges. The challenge at this point becomes to pull up the world behind one as one raises oneself out of the easy chair to higher levels, lifting the world up to the same level. That's the Peace of Westphalia in the nuclear age. Along this line, the exploration of the principle of universal love, the series of novels became a series of 12 novels with ever-widening horizons. In this context, the novel Seascapes and Sand deals with the muddy waters of political seascapes and religious seascapes and castles built of sand. Nor can one stop there, because still greater forces act on our world than just politics and religion. The novel, The Flat Earth Society, sets the stage for that. These are forces unfolding in the world that one can only see with the mind's eye, and needs to develop the principles for, to be able to raise oneself above them. Occasionally, achievements in ancient cultures can also aid in raising one to higher ground. India is rich in these, though many of the riches remain locked up by mysteries. The mysteries have become glass barriers that beckon one to see through, but not to shatter. In central India, 85 great sandstone temples were built in a single area in the time frame of just over a century. But almost nothing is known about the people and their culture that had given them the power for such amazing creations. The temples are richly adorned with sculptures of people. About 15% are erotic in nature. Sexual intimacy appears to have been intertwined with these people's amazing creative culture. The next novel in the series, Coffee, Sex and Biscuits, explores this puzzling potential. Indeed, how can we be at peace in the world without being at peace with ourselves and with one another on the home ground? This appears to have wide implications. It points to wide horizons. Our horizons for development are endless indeed, and so are the horizons for our self-development, where experiences become possible as we move forward, which seemed impossible before. Thus the title of the novel is Endless Horizons. But even in this endless environment, that demand repeats itself to raise up the world with the power of one's own breakthrough achievements. Angels of Sex in Queensland is the perplexing title of my next novel in line. It combines extreme opposites. It combines the sexual sovereignty of the individual human being with spiritual development, juxtaposed against the claimed dominance by people by which no one is sovereign and free. Here lies one of the most critical junctions in the world, and perhaps the most unrecognized at the same time. For the novel, this is the target for exploration, though the novel itself falls short of doing justice to it. It remains but a shell, and a rather small novel for this reason, that sets up the framework for which the substance remains yet to be discovered that will enable the freedom of true sovereignty with wide diversity. We live in a brainwashed world where empire, morality, conventions, and small-minded notions dictate the thinking and self-perception of society, and whereby true sovereignty is still far out of sight. For the lack of a profound true humanist sovereignty, where universal love is the true foundation, our world has become a dangerous place where no one is secure, where fascism stakes claim to sovereignty, and the greatest atrocities are routinely committed to the point that the entire world is in danger. The title of the novel here is Sword of Aquarius, because in our world Aquarius is the cup-bearer for the king. It bears a poison brew that is poured out onto the world. In my final novel, Blue Mountain, the protagonists are forced to flee their home country, the land of the free, and seek refuge in China. They are forced to do this by the weight of unresolved tragedies. The whole world is in this situation now, and ever more so with the uranium gas war and nuclear war on the near horizon. Except, unlike the protagonists in the novel, humanity has no place to go to when its world becomes unlivable by the consequences of an unhealed disease called empire and war. In the final novel, the protagonists work from their exile in China, where they aim to reach back to heal their home country and the world retroactively. Their new home lies in the shadow of Blue Mountain, Historically, and probably a long time ago, Blue Mountain had lodged many monasteries for healing. The title of the novel symbolizes a reaching back to heal what has been left unhealed for far too long. The series of the novel ends at this point. In retrospect, I named the series in honor of what lies in our humanity as the substance with which our civilization can be healed of its most perplexing problems. For this, I have named the series The Lodging for the Rose. The sequence of my novels ends where we still stand today. It ends with a huge backlog of unhealed problems that are becoming more critical with every passing day, in a world unwilling to respond to their imperatives, and even less so to respond to the Ice Age challenge that is nothing more than a challenge to let the needs of the future uplift us in the present to create the greatest renaissance of all times. Unlike the protagonists, we cannot escape to China to escape the consequences of the work left undone. The work needs to be done where we are, and soon, or, at the very least, it needs to be started before our final war, for which the engines of war are already in place, closes the book on us all for all times to come. This means that the easy chair should be banned. Fortunately, we are human beings with great capacities for extraordinary achievements if we put the substance of our humanity to the task. Should we then not master the challenges before us, even the greatest challenge of all times, the Ice Ages? I think that we will meet and master every one of these challenges, and not just these alone, but step far beyond them to other challenges that we then also meet and master. This is what it means to be human, isn't it? Of course, when we get there, we may realize that we had the potential for all this already eons ago.